On today's episode, protests flare up around the globe, monkeypox fast becoming the new COVID, and Twitter's protecting groomers and pedophiles. Let's get into it. G'day guys, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the podcast Crossing the Line, and let's get straight into today's news. China using tanks to stop people from getting their own money from banks. A viral video has emerged from China showing that the streets have been clogged with army vehicles and tanks, army personnel. Apparently it's to stop people from going to banks to get their own money out of the bank, which the bank has now deemed as investment products that cannot be withdrawn. So it's kind of a lot like what Justin Trudeau was doing to the truckers, where they just shut down your bank and won't let you take your own money out of your account. So let's get into today's story. First story here. With over 2 million views, it's a video showing tanks on the street in China that are out to protect banks. This is because of the Han branch of Bank of China is declaring that people's savings in their branch are now investment products and cannot be withdrawn. This clip from Henan shows a long queue of tanks preventing locals from reaching the bank branch. As the camera pans, a tank queue is seen covering the entire block. The locals look agitated and are forced to wait because of the presence of the armoured vehicles. Now, I'll play the video so you can get a gist of it. That's a lot of fucking armor to be stopping some people from getting their own money out of their bank accounts. Now, China's known for doing shit like this anyway. I mean, I'm sure these people aren't surprised that their government does this every now and then. Communistic country, and Australia seems to be marching slowly forward towards that way. So the rest of the world seems to at the moment, actually. You've got Jacinda Horseface Ardern in New Zealand taking away their rights. We've got our Albanese lemon squeezy here taking away ours. You got Trudeau taking away the Canadians. Biden taking away everyone's, including the US. More things have just been popping up over the world now. The World Health Organization has declared monkeypox a global emergency. It seems like it's 2019 all over again. You've got a new global emergency, which used to be COVID. You've got China locking down their people with military, banning them from taking their own money out of their accounts, and before it was banning them from moving out of their town or welding people into their own homes at some points. So we'll get into the World Health Organization drama here. World Health Organization has been said that the expanding monkeypox outbreak is in more than 70 countries is an extraordinary situation that now qualifies as a global emergency. A declaration Saturday could spur further investment in treating the once rare disease and worsen the scramble for scarce vaccines. Although monkeypox has been established in parts of Central and West Africa for decades, it is not known to spark a larger outbreak beyond the continent or spread widely among people until May, when the authorities detected dozens of epidemics in Europe, North America, and elsewhere. Now, monkeypox doesn't kill you. It's basically, you can see a photo of it there. It's welts. Doesn't look very fun. Looks pretty painful. Looks infectious. There's a massive outbreak in San Francisco gay community. It seems to be transmitting between gay people mostly. So I don't know, maybe a bit less sodomy for a couple of weeks and you'd be fine. But you know, everyone has their thing, don't they? Moving on here, past announcements have a mixed impact given the UN Health Agency are largely powerless in getting countries to act. Yeah, they were so powerless that we locked down the world for fucking 3 years and still continued to do so. Last month, World Health Organization's expert committee said the worldwide monkeypox outbreak did not yet amount to an international emergency, but the panel convened this week to reevaluate the situation. According to the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 16,000 cases of monkeypox have been reported in 74 countries since about May. To date, monkeypox deaths have only been reported in Africa, where a more dangerous version of the virus is spreading, mainly in Nigeria and Congo. In Africa, monkeypox mainly spreads to people from infected wild animals like rodents, in limited outbreaks that typically have not crossed borders. In Europe, North America, and elsewhere, however, monkeypox is spreading among people with no links to animals or recent travels to Africa. World Health Organization's top monkeypox expert, Dr. Rosamund Lewis, said that the week that 99% of all monkeypox cases in Africa were in men, and that those of 98% involved with men who have sex with men. So, it's a gay disease. Experts suspect the monkeypox outbreaks in Europe and North America were spread via sex at 2 raves in Belgium and Spain. Far out. Imagine going to a rave, having a good time there, and coming home with monkeypox. That'd be the least you wouldn't be expecting that, would you, at all? Michael Head, a senior research fellow in the global fellow in global and health, Southampton University, says that it was surprising World Health Organization hadn't already declared a monkeypox global emergency, because they love doing that. It gives them lots of money, explaining that the conditions were arguably met weeks ago. Yeah, well, maybe they had to get all their fucking patents in line for a new vaccine, eh? Some experts have questioned whether such a declaration would help, arguing the disease isn't severe enough to warrant the attention, and that rich countries battling monkeypox already have the funds to do so. Most people recover without needing medical attention, although the lesions may be painful. I think it would be better to be proactive and overreact to the problem instead of waiting to react when it's too late, Head said. Yeah, but like overreacting, like locking down the entire world for 3 years and crashing every single economy in the world and having the world's largest transfer of wealth from poor people to rich billionaires. You think that might have been an overreaction? Just a little bit? No? He added that the World Health Organization's emergency declaration could help donors, like the World Bank, makes funds available to stop outbreaks both in the West and in Africa, where animals are likely a natural reservoir of monkeypox. Who the fuck in Africa has been banging monkeys again? Last time that happened, you got AIDS. You stay away from the animals. Jesus Christ. You think there must be a massive population of Welsh people in Africa. In the US, some experts have speculated whether monkeypox might be on the verge of becoming an entrenched sexually transmitted disease in the country, like gonorrhea, herpes, and HIV. Someone's fucking monkeys. Stop fucking monkeys. We need to go to Africa, find the village that keeps fucking monkeys, and fucking, I don't know, have an intervention. We need to have an intervention with these monkey fucking people. There's some fucking tribe in Africa doing it, and there was some tribe in fucking China doing it with bats. The bottom line is that we've seen a shift in the epidemiology of monkeypox, where there is a now widespread, unexpected transmission, said Dr. Albert Coe, a professor in public health and epidemiology at Yale University. There are some genetic mutations of the virus that suggest why they may be happening, but we do need to globally coordinate response to get it under control, he said. Coe called for testing to be immediately scaled up rapidly, saying that this similar to the early days of COVID-19. Wait a minute. That there were significant gaps in surveillance. The cases we are seeing are just the tip of the iceberg. He said the window has probably closed for us to quickly stop the outbreak in Europe and the US, but it's not too late to stop the monkeypox from causing huge damage to our poorer countries. Now, we've had a few cases in Australia. I think for a couple of days, if you get monkeypox, you're going to be looking like that, or with lesions and shit like that on you. Maybe if you go to a gay nightclub and you see someone covered in fucking disgusting welts like that, don't fuck them. Stay away from them. Tell them to go home for a couple of days. I think we can keep it in our pants long enough, like a couple of days. Put it away, fellas. Jesus Christ. So it'll be interesting to see whether the government jumps on this and starts mandating more vaccines or lockdowns or things like that, because if it's mainly affecting just the mainly gay men, 98% in Africa they were gay men, it might be deemed as homophobic to force them to get vaccines, because for 100% I can tell you I'm not going to be having sex with a man. 120% I can tell you I'm not going to be having sex with a man with fucking monkeypox. I mean, look at that shit. Who the fuck is rooting people covered in that crap? But the government will jump on it and try to get their money out of it. So will the any vaccine companies. Pfizer will have a lipstick or a fucking balm out for it within a week, I reckon. Maybe a nasal spray for it or an anal spray. Who knows? They'll sort that shit right quick, and they'll be getting their money out of it. Now, whilst in Africa, they're already dealing with famine at the moment, caused by this global catastrophe that we've now fucking wrought upon ourselves with COVID. Sri Lanka is still bracing for more protests after they've ousted their PM. Now, it's just a going trend. It's happening. It happened in Canada, happened in the US, happening in Australia at the moment. Protests. It's happening in Sri Lanka. Where else? Dutch farmers are still protesting. It's just a continuous strain of protests over freedoms and rights getting taken away. Now, in Sri Lanka, I'm not too sure about the circumstances around it, but they went into their parliamentary building, ousted. There was videos of these guys with laying in the Prime Minister's bed, mocking him, which was pretty entertaining. But they have a new Prime Minister now, and they're still bracing for more protests, riots, and shit like that. Sri Lanka was braced for more unrest after a newly appointed president, Ranil, I'm going to give it a crack, Wickremesinghe, fucking good luck pronouncing that dude's name, vowed to crack down on the protests that toppled his predecessor, condemning them as against the law. Speaking after the MP picked him as a successor to Gotabaya, the new Prime Minister has made it clear that he would not tolerate those perceived to be stirring up violence. If you try to topple the government, occupy President's office and the Prime Minister's office, this is not a democracy, it is against the law, he said. We will deal with them firmly and according to the law. We will not allow the minority of protesters to suppress the aspirations of the silent majority, clamouring for a change in the political system. He was sworn in the 8th President of Sri Lanka at the small ceremony on Thursday morning. He took his oath of office before Chief Justice at tightly guarded Parliament complex in Colombo. A statement from his office said, Sri Lanka's police chief and top military brass stood behind the new president as the oath was administered. In the presence of Parliamentary Speaker Mahinda Abhidawarna, among the MPs who gathered afterwards to congratulate him, with the former president and the Prime Minister's Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was the older brother of Gotabaya. Okay, so it's just a trend around the world at the moment. The governments of overreaching and taking more than what they fucking should, and people aren't putting up with it. You can see footage here of the riots and protests in Sri Lanka. They got pretty fucking violent there. It looks like downtown Portland from 12 months ago, you know. That's how bad it is. But not only are they rioting in Sri Lanka at the moment, they're also still going on in with the Dutch farmers there. They are still rioting against the government for trying to stop their nitrogen emissions. See, now it says here a 30% reduction in livestock numbers. That's not correct. It's from a 30% reduction. They want it to be up to a 90% in some areas. 90% reduction. 70% in a lot. Emotion and pain as Dutch farmers fight back against huge cuts to livestock. Farmers express fury at the government's drive to tackle nitrogen pollution through a major reduction in numbers of pigs, cattle and chickens in the Netherlands. Along roads and bridges in the Netherlands, people are hanging the Dutch flag upside down. You can tell which one is upside down or not. It is a sign of solidarity with the Dutch farming sector will be upturned by a radical 30% reduction in livestock numbers, a move being made to meet environmental targets. Thanks, Greta. In recent weeks, farmers have blocked off food distribution centres, with hundreds of tractors blockaded major roads, turned up outside regional assemblies and the ministers' homes to protest. One late night protest ended with a police officer accused of firing a gun at a 16-year-old farmer's son. Now, I've seen several videos of them shooting at farmers in their tractors just driving up the highway. Several videos of police shooting at them. So, you know, that's what happens when you have no firearms. When you're not allowed to carry like they can in the States. They'll just willy-nilly shoot at you. I guarantee you, if they knew that they were legally owned, you know, law-abiding citizens who had the right to carry, the police wouldn't be fucking shooting at them, would they? Because they might get a fucking few rounds back. Comes as authorities in the Netherlands have released details to the cuts in ammonia, nitrogen oxides and nitrous oxide needed to protect more than 150 nature reserves in the country. And it is the farming sector that is going to bear the brunt of the emission cuts. It is not a democracy anymore. It is a dictatorship, said Jeroen van Maan, a farmer with 130 cows. See, that's not even a lot. That's fuck all cattle. That is fuck all cattle. I mean, there have to be tiny farms over there because they just don't have the land mass like we do here in Australia. Farmer with 130 cows in Zeewolde, central Netherlands, who has joined the protests. Manure, when mixed with urine, releases ammonia, a nitrogen compound. If it enters lakes, streams via farm runoff, excessive nitrogen can damage sensitive natural habitats. The country has the 7th biggest livestock population in the EU and is comparatively small in size. This gives it Europe's highest livestock density, with insufficient land to make good use of the waste from more than 100 million cattle, chickens and pigs. Now, if they get rid of 30% of the cattle, just say it's 30%, all right, we'll go with that number because it doesn't seem inflated, 30%. Even though it's up to 90 and 70% in areas. And if it's up to 90 or 70%, you can guarantee it's going to be more than 30 in most. So we'll just go off a 30% reduction. So he's going to have to get rid of 30% of his cows. So that means his wage or his, his income is going to be dropped by 30%. And he's just a small farm. So say he's got to get rid of 30 cows, he's only allowed 100. Let's just say that. How's he going to survive? How's he going to pay his bills? How's he going to feed himself? And not to mention, if they're getting rid of 30% of the meat, 30% of the dairy, 30% of chickens, eggs, so who's going to replace it? Have the politicians that have brought this in, have they gone and signed deals with people to import food from other places? Or do they own the farms that aren't being affected in other countries even? So someone would be making money out of this, but it's not going to be the fucking Dutch farmers. Now, if they brought this in over here, it would be a fucking shit show. We've got more land than most countries in the world, and it's underutilized land too. We don't use it as much as we should. We should be able to things like the updated Bradford scheme. We should be able to do things like that here, but I don't think that'll ever happen. We're not even allowed to go nuclear in our country. It's illegal for us to do so, and people are too scared of it because they've been tricked into thinking that it's everything's going to go Chernobyl on them. If that happened in Australia, it would be a disaster. Cattle in 130 cows is nothing. That's nothing for a farm in Australia. Tens of thousands of cattle. That's more like it. And who's going to replace it? Because it's obviously being used. So that 30% of the cattle, chickens, pigs, whatever, is being used. So how's that going to get replaced? So they're just 30% of the time you go to the shopping centre, you're not going to be able to find beef, cheese, milk, butter, eggs to buy. Is that how it's going to work? Or where's that food come from? It comes from other countries? So then you're paying more for it and not shopping locally then either? So it only hurts locals. So they have to foot the bill for someone who's not even from their country making up a fucking rule. It's ridiculous. And they'll try to bring it here. Albanese government will try to bring it here. I guarantee it. Van Maan says that farmers are being unfairly targeted. If you come for us and our families, you come for a farmer's soul, he says. We've proposed all kinds of solutions, but we are ignored. And finally, they come up with a plan for a reduction in livestock. No other sector has reduced nitrogen in the last 30 years as much as we have. This is why there is a lot of emotion and pain. They are taking away their livelihoods. They are taking away their incomes. They are taking away the things they have been growing for their entire life. Farms, people don't just go turn 25 and go out and buy their first farm and start a farm. They're generally passed down through families. So they could have been on these farms for hundreds of years in some cases. You'd be surprised. The latest government coalition has not so far been dissuaded by the protests from its drive to tackle the country's environmental problems. After a landmark court ruling in 2019, it needs to reduce nitrogen emissions in order for it to allow building projects to go ahead in the country. So they are stopping this so they can build other shit. And someone from outside of their voting demographics. So these guys don't get to vote on this because it's, brought in by the EU and shit like that. So they don't get to vote on it. It's not, like Brexit obviously was a fucking great idea when they did it, and it's probably still ongoing now, but they've got to leave these systems that you're getting dictated to from people who don't even have a stake in your own country. There is a choice, says Rudy Boos, a spokesperson for the Agriculture Ministry. Even if you stop with the policy tomorrow, the problem doesn't go away. If you want to build a house or a road, a lawyer will say, first reduce nitrogen and then you will get a license. This is insane. We have to do something. It's not a luxury. It has to happen. This is why he says the farming sector was addressed first in parliamentary briefings, which asks provincial governments to come up with detailed plans for reductions within a year. The farmers are furious that they have been signalled out, says Jan Brock, vice chair of something burgers, a real BBBB. Jesus Christ, good luck fucking pronouncing that. A rural political party which has made huge gains in the polls. All farmers in the Netherlands do something that releases nitrogen, but there is an unfairness. Currently, it is the only farmers who have to reduce emissions, but it's not the rest of the industry, he says. We know exactly what allowance each farmer has and what they produce. While a lot of industrial companies don't need permission, but they emit nitrogen. According to the documents released on Wednesday, as a result, the MP questions finance ministry. Calculations suggest more than half the livestock of farmers will have to stop or slim down. More than half the livestock of farmers will have to stop or slim down. What do you mean? Like, you're going to have to get rid of, like, 50% of their livestock? 50% of their income? 50% of the food? The government reports the, not pronouncing that one either, will affect five times more farmers than strictly necessary. The LTO Farming Union has refused to interact with the new government negotiator John Remkes, saying that the timeline is impossible and too focused on agriculture. A country-level reduction of 50% in 2030 is simply unfeasible and will have disastrous effects on not just the agriculture, but the economic, social, and culinary viability of rural Netherlands, says the LTO spokesperson. Many farmers do not accept the need for a change, but fear that the effect on their livelihoods. A lot of people in the cities do not link between what they eat every day and what farmers do, says Alex de Tamer, an organic dairy farmer with 110 milk cows in Grogeen. The head of the food team, WWF Netherlands, stresses that while the charity is keen for farmers to have a good income and positive social role, this does not mean that high livestock density. This is the only country in the world where manure is regarded as a waste product instead of a valuable source of nutrients and soil health. Well, here's an idea. How about we collect the waste that they're not using and ship it somewhere, sell it, make some fucking money off of it, sell it to somewhere that needs it. I don't know, like anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. We're stripping our topsoil off. I think there's like 60 years worth of topsoil left in the US where they can safely grow food, where it'll actually be worth growing food. You can grow food. And you can't get rid of fucking shit. Someone will buy it off of you. We export 70%, keep all the rubbish, and the gains are all for private companies. It is a system that is not sustainable and can't go on. We, the Netherlands, can be considered as a wake-up call for what happens with every intensive farming system that doesn't take into account the environmental conditions they have to operate in. See, now, there's ways around it other than just getting rid of the cattle. So if you get rid of 30% of the cattle, what do? They don't just disappear and go off to another farm. They die. They get slaughtered and they die. You're going to kill off 30% of the cattle, 30% of the pigs, and 30% of the chickens. You are not going to have enough food to feed your fucking population. It's happening all over the world. It's coming here slowly and surely, but it will be here. And if people don't wake up and have a look at it, then it's going to be right on their doorstep, and they're going to be saying, how the fuck did this happen? Well, you saw it happening for years, and you just didn't say anything, didn't do anything about it. Now, closer to home at the moment, truckies are protesting finally. You think they went down to that protest in Canberra, but no one turned up for that. They are slowly driving along the Westgate Bridge the other day to protest fuel prices. Now, fuel prices in Australia are pretty bloody high at the moment. We've just had a dip again the other day, but when the fuel excise tax gets put back on, we're going to have a short and sharp jump up, probably about 40 cents a litre. So that's going to hit the hip pocket. It's going to piss a lot of people off. Melbourne-bound commuters were caught up in peak hour traffic crawl on Wednesday after dozens of tip truck drivers blocked lanes of the Westgate Bridge to protest the state government's inaction on crippling diesel fuel prices. That's the biggest issue. They're not doing anything about it. We shut down all of our fuel plants in Australia. We import it. We sell our oil and gas off to places like Japan and then buy it back off them because we need it. How does that make sense? And the government just keeps doing it. They keep writing up deals. They keep writing up fucking plans. They keep getting pay packets. And they keep fucking us over every step of the way. The Department of Transport said about 70 tip trucks bound for Victoria's Parliament House. They should have just driven through Victoria's fucking Parliament House. Has occupied 4 city-bound lanes on the bridge about 8:30 a.m, just leaving a single lane for motorists to bypass the slow-moving convoy. Well, they shouldn't have fucking even done that. Aerial images captured by 9 News show the vehicles driving at a reduced speed on the bridge as cars banked up behind. Yeah. Department spokesman Chris Miller urged drivers to avoid the Westgate Bridge before 11 a.m. and use Geelong Road and Footscray Road to get to the city. We've got queues back on the M80 Ring Road that go as far as Boundary Road and the back of the Princess Freeway. The queues back out of Laverton, he said. The slow-moving traffic stretches more than 10 kilometres behind the actual protest. See, now, The Age, they've done more reporting in this story, in this article, about the length of fucking traffic queues and how that might be annoying people and how to get around that than they have looked into why the truckers are protesting. Said, they're protesting about fuel prices. Okay. Why are they protesting about fuel prices? Oh, because they're really high. Okay, why are they really high? Oh, we're just going to blame it on Ukraine. For fuck's sakes. Oh, look, there's an Aboriginal flag on the bridge. I wonder if that cost them $25 million to put there. Slow-moving traffic stretches for about 10 kilometres behind the actual protest. Miller says that the delays had probably added an extra 15 or 20 minutes of travel time for morning commuters. Those poor sons of bitches. The trucks are travelling at 35 kilometres an hour and by 11 a.m. had moved into the CBD, where their protest caused minor inconvenience for the motorists in Flinders, Collins and Spring Streets. Minor inconvenience. So you're not doing enough. Walcock said the ones driving the trucks leading the convoy said the drivers are going broke as a result of soaring cost of diesel fuel, and some were making as little as $60 profit a day. Now that doesn't surprise me. The price of diesel is expensive. We filled up just the other day and it wasn't even empty, and that was $145, I think. He said the truck owners were spending upwards of $2,000 a week on fuel, about half of their operating costs, leaving them with limited funds to pay for the upkeep of the vehicles. Now, driving a truck is not a cheap endeavour, especially in Australia. We've got registration. You think just something as simple as tyres, a battery, servicing, oil, AdBlue, you name it. It's going to be expensive. We want everybody to be making a profit and having safe trucks being safe. We don't need an extra stress, he told 3AW radio station. Well, Woolcock said the state government has committed to implementing a fuel levy to cover the rising costs of living 3 months ago, but has failed to deliver on the promise. So they haven't put the fuel levy in anyway. They said they were going to and they haven't. At the moment, they've fixed our rates so we can't gain any extra money back. For the extra expenses, he says. We're not asking for a pay rise. We're just asking for extra expenses to be covered at this point in time. A Victorian government spokesman said that the indicative rates of the owner drivers, including minimum rates for tip truck drivers on government projects, were increased in April. The Transport Industry Council is reviewing this matter. See, nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. They will not do anything unless these trucks had driven through Parliament building and ran over fucking big-eared Dan Andrews anyway. They would not do a thing. And even if they had done that, they would just label them as right-wing extremists that were racist, misogynistic pigs, just like they did when they had the Canberra protests and when they had the protests in Canada. They won't do anything. We will suffer the brunt of it. We will pay the amount of money until any amount of money until things go back to normal, and they're not going to go back to normal. They're just going to progressively get worse. If people don't wake up and smell the fucking petrol, they're not going to. People aren't going to wake up. I'm losing hope. Get a few people here and there that still don't even know this is going on. Like, this has barely been reported on. Sri Lanka's barely been reported on. Something that has been reported on is the World Health Organization came out today and said that they're watching the, monkeypox and it's a global emergency. But you don't hear things about the Dutch farmers. You don't hear things about Sri Lanka. You don't hear things about the truckies protesting. It's all been swept under the carpet, and mainstream media does a little bit of reporting on it and doesn't plaster it in your face like they do with everything else. I mean, they think that anyone who is protesting is a right-wing extremist, and then they just leave it at that. They blur what the actual truth is and leave it at that. Now, I see my computer's dying. So before we go, Twitter says it's banning using the word groomer as an LGBTQ slur. All right, they've changed it. It's been changed again. Christ. But its enforcement is lacking. Twitter said this Daily Dot is banning, calls for bans, people calling people groomers based on their gender identity. But in practice, it often does not enforce this rule. Do you know why people call people groomers? Because they're a groomer. If you're being called a groomer, that means they think you're grooming children and you're a fucking pedophile. On Wednesday, the Daily Dot reported that the subreddit post inadvertently intensified pressure on Twitter to ban calling LGBTQ people groomers. Grooming is a slur that falsely equates being LGBTQ with being a pedophile. That's not what they're saying. They're saying whether you're LGBTQ or not, it doesn't matter. If you're grooming children, which makes you a groomer. That is the dictionary definition. You are grooming children and introducing them to sexual things that they should not be introduced to. You are a groomer. You are a pedophile. People who are why are they trying to defend pedophiles? Just because some of the pedophiles might be gay, bi, trans, queer, or lesbian, does that mean that they're okay with it? Because I guarantee you, all the gay people I know, all the gay people under the rainbow flag of freedom there, would be appalled to be put in the same category as a pedophile. Not only appalled, but they would virulently fight against it. Now, the few people that are promoting banning the word groomer, why are you trying to ban the word groomer? Are you a pedophile? Are you grooming children? Because I guarantee you, the only people who want to ban the use of grooming or pedophile are fucking grooming pedophiles. Their children do not need to be groomed. I didn't think we'd have to say that. It's 2022. Don't groom children. Pedophiles are bad. Do we have to go over that? Jesus Christ. We're committed to combating abuse motivated by hatred, prejudice, and intolerance. I am all for hatred, prejudice, and intolerance against groomers and pedophiles. I don't know about you, but I do not want groomers or pedophiles existing. If they go, oh, they have a mental health issue, no one cares. You should be buried under the prison. This is how fucked up it is. These people are defending pedophiles. Just because you're transgender and you're grooming kids doesn't mean you get to get away with it. If you're a straight white man, say like the when you think of the word pedophile, you think of like an old, thick glasses on his face, old man or something, don't you? Driving around in a white van giving out candy. That's a pedophile. If you identify as a transgender woman or man or gay or bi or queer or whatever, and you're grooming kids, you're a pedophile. Doesn't matter what, you can't just hide behind the LGBTQ banner. And the LGBTQ people won't let you. I don't know anyone under that banner that would let a pedophile hide in their ranks, and they would not protect them. So the people who run these like organizations that are pushing for banning the word groomer, banning the words, like calling anyone a pedophile or anything like that. They're the pedophiles, and they are trying to, at least in my opinion, they are trying to make it safe for them to come out of their, protected, hidden closet that they're in. And I don't think, give it 10 years, they'll be trying to put that P back into or on the LGBTQ flag there. I saw it a few years ago. They tried to put it in there, and obviously they were smacked down, and rightfully so. I just thought there's one thing we're all supposed to agree on. It was pedophiles and grooming children is bad, but apparently not anymore. People are pushing for it harder and harder every year. And we've got to keep apprised of it. Disney's pushing for it and grooming kids with their agenda that they have going on. You've got to keep an eye on what your kids are watching. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel there. So if you're seeing it somewhere else, like on Getter or anything like that, go to my YouTube and link that, like that there, and share it and subscribe it. I will see you guys next time. Thanks. Thanks for watching our video. Please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel here at Crossing the Line, and I'll see you guys next time.
'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.